K-Rino Radio. Ha. K-Rino Radio. Ha. Ha. Let's tell them about it. You're listening to K-Rino Radio on 90.1. Who is he? What is he? What does he do? Where is he from? H-Town, where the independent grind was invented. Understand, I'm the property owner, you just a tenant. KPFT is the station and location for the really special guests. Good knowledge and information for the coldest on the air. We making a strong case. If you scared of the truth, then you in the wrong place. Every Friday, 11 o'clock p.m. Central. We cooking the game, serving it up, feeding your mental. You can even call in, dial 713, backdoor with 526 KPFT. We ain't playing with them, we gon' tell it like it is, partner. Out of town, KPFT.org, yeah, we got ya. How'd I get on the airways? I know y'all like, wow, K-Rino Radio, homie, starting right about now. Yeah, we got ya. How'd I get on the airways? I know y'all like, wow, K-Rino Radio, homie, starting right about now.
What's going on, family? Once again, it's your big brother K-Rino, and as is the case every Friday night at 11 p.m., y'all are tuned in to K-Rino Radio. If you are listening, make sure you holler at one of your homies, friends, family, next door neighbor, your dog, whoever, and tell them to tune in to 90.1 FM or online at kpft.org, man, so y'all can check out the show. Tonight, man, we have I don't even want to use the term special guests or something that mediocre, man. We got an icon in the building, man. Let's just call it for what it is, man. This individual right here, if we started just going down the list of accolades, it would take up the whole freaking hour. This is how accomplished this brother is, and as we do with all of our guests, I have to ask you to bear with me while I give you your proper introduction.
I'll shut up then.
So that, yeah, without a doubt, because it ain't gonna be too long, but I got to give it to you the way you deserve it, big brother.
Appreciate
because
it.
It's certain people that you think about in the history of music and in our genre and the history of hip hop that you can legitimately ask the question to yourself: if this person had never been born, how would the game be affected? And I could say honestly that if this man had never been in existence, hip-hop would not be the same as it is. It would be such a void that we wouldn't even be aware that exists.
Wow.
Because he has contributed so much to the hip-hop, to music industry, period, man. He's a multi-platinum producer. He's one of the greatest producers of all time. He's one of the greatest DJs of all time. How you on two GOAT lists? You know, they talk about the rappers. They always list the GOAT rappers, but they never list the GOAT DJs and producers, to my knowledge. This man is on two of those lists at the same time. He, in my opinion, is on the Mount Rushmore of both of those. He has worked with, of course, he's one of the founding members of the legendary group Gang Starr, but among the people he's worked with, man, he's worked with people like KRS-One, Nas, Big Daddy Kane, Janet Jackson, Christina Aguilera, Black Eyed Peas, Common, Jay-Z, Ice. If you go on Wikipedia and just type in the DJ Premier production discography, you just be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, because this man has put a stamp on the game that very few people in the industry, period, can match. So I'm honored tonight to have our brother, the OG, the legend, the icon, DJ Premier's in the building, man. What's going on?
Wow. Thank you, K-Rino.
Man, look.
And you know, I give you the exact same in return. You see it when you call, it's like, oh, it's K-Rino calling. It's like a big deal to me, you know what I'm saying? Because of the respect that we have for you as an MC, as a lyricist, and as a fighter of righteousness, you know what I'm saying? Which is very hard for a lot. I mean, we all speak about the struggle in different ways, but I can tell yours is beyond authentic, and it's so from the heart that it's a message, but it's still hard and it's still raw for the streets. I mean, to me, you're like what Public Enemy is coming from a New York perspective, but you're that from a Texas, Houston, H-Town's perspective, but in your own way without even biting any style. You have an incredible. I'm into voices.
Yeah.
I love your voice. I think your voice is one of the most standout voices in hip hop when it comes to what I like as a DJ. And then on top of that, your delivery and just your like I said, you're like that possum we saw outside the window. We just saw a possum and a squirrel about to square off, which is real Texas shit right there. And we're just now seeing that. It's like, hey, those possums, you don't want to mess with them.
Yeah,
they got sharp teeth. You got sharp teeth.
You know, and
I'm not calling you a possum.
Oh no, like, man, that's first. I look. Y'all, I didn't pay him to say that. You know, I just want y'all to know. Look, bro, we wanna, and I so appreciate that, brother. But I wanna prop you up, man.
I appreciate it,
man.
Hey, I'm glad to be here, man.
We glad to have you here, man. Shout out to my homie, the OG Murder One South Park Coalition. OG,
all right, then shout to that.
And no regret media's in the building. Keystone Young Pro.
Yes, shout to the SPC, man.
Without a doubt, man. We want to get straight into it, big brother, because we only got an hour, so we want to cover as much as we can.
Okay. And do I need to keep it clean? Because I don't
Yes,
wanna...
sir. Yes, sir.
Got you.
Your origins in hip hop, man.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know. The old school people know, but a lot of people don't know that you from the city of Houston, man.
Yes.
So what was it like? What was your origins in music as far as what attracted you to it, and in particular hip hop? And then your migration to New York. How did all that come about? Just break it down.
Well, I was born in Fifth Ward. Shout to Lockwood Hospital. Everybody know Lockwood. It's crazy because the doctor that delivered me and my sisters, his name was B.T. Hollins, and he actually just passed away. Not even 5 years ago, and it was like noted in the Houston Chronicle and everything about how he had a long history of being one of the most popular doctors in the Fifth Ward to deliver babies. And his name was B.T. Hollins. And so even as my childhood, once my father is a teacher, and so is my mom. My father got a job at Prairie View A&M University, so he was living they were all living in the Fifth Ward in the beginning. And then once, and my sisters lived there, but once I was born, he got a job at Prairie View. So we moved to Prairie View, and we used to call them the block houses because they were sitting on the bricks, which y'all know the houses sit on the bricks out here too.
No doubt.
And the snakes be up underneath and all that, and they come through the toilet, and and you be sitting on the bowl, and when you hear that boom sound, know that's a snake coming up.
Get
and
up.
If you look, they actually come through those garden snakes, and I know that a lot of houses are built like that to this day, even like in Third Ward and Fifth Ward. So that's those were our houses. That's how our house was constructed until my father made enough money to build his own house. Built his own house, which we still live in to this day. And once he got the job at Prairie View, we started going to schools in Waller, and at that time Prairie View also had a school, but it was all black school at the time. Then it integrated with whites, so my sisters weren't even used to going to school with white people. They were used to being with only blacks.
Right.
And we're from obviously Prairie View is an all black community,
no doubt.
So we're used to the whole band thing, like even with the bands, with the whole battle of the bands now, with the drum lines and all that. Prairie View been putting it down like that since my childhood. I'm 52 years old, and my whole childhood was, man, our band be rocking. And and TSU and Prairie View have always been rivals, like from my childhood in elementary school all the way up to now. I know that's one of the biggest rivals when it comes to sports. So as I grew into going to school in Waller, you know what I'm saying, it's either, because those only two choices is either Hempstead or Waller when it comes to Prairie View, because Prairie View started to just be a college only, even though our junior high was in Prairie View. I went to junior high in PV. Then when I went to high school, I went back to Waller. And so once I graduated, that's really around the era, 73, 74, 75, 1973 is always looked at as the birth date of hip hop culture, August 11th, 1973. Obviously, what we were listening to, we ain't have no rap music. So it was always, and at that time it wasn't R&B, it was called soul.
Right.
So soul music was the only thing that I was really familiar with, because my mother is an art teacher. My father's a biology teacher. When my mom used to paint in the house, she just playing all the hot jams on the record player, and she used to always say, "Don't you put your fingerprints on them records." That was a beating. That was a beating.
Yeah, no question.
You know what I'm saying? You got. Well, we said whoopings, but You know,
Same thing.
Yeah, but we would always get beat if a fingerprint was on the record. So even then, it was like, do not do nothing but touch the edges.
Right.
So, you know, I was always fascinated by the way a record looked on a label. Looked almost like a toy that you play with, and then the mechanics of the turntable, how when you hit the button, it would drop the record and the needle would drop on it. I was so fascinated by that I would actually take it apart when she would be at work.
You playing with your life.
And which is how I learned electronics. Right. I mean, I literally started to become one of the people that in the neighborhood that everybody would come by our house to have me fix their televisions, radios, put sound systems in. Like I was that dedicated to the whole, anything with my hands that had to deal with drilling, things like that. That was really my upbringing, so I went from city to just straight country. Yeah. Because then once we integrated with white people, we got cool with them because I played sports at the time. I played football, I played baseball at the time. My sisters were both basketball, volleyball, so track. Like everybody in our family was always into sports. My mother to this very day is 89 years old, and there's a rule. When you get up in the morning, grab that Houston Chronicle out the driveway and have it on my sports section. Man. This is to this very day at 89 years old. That's the first thing I do when I woke up this morning is got the paper, put it on the sports section, because once we get her dressed, because she's older, so she needs a little more of an assistance. That's still the routine, and so I'm raised with the values of a mother and a father in the house. Them not taking any mess from me, and I used to talk back, but every talk back came with a consequence. Everyone, so. I'm glad that, some people be like, oh, man, it ain't cool, if you have educated parents or all that. But where we come from, it's cool because it ain't corny to have a mother and a father that teach. And then after that, my father became the dean of arts and sciences. So once I graduated from high school, I got into computer science. So he was my dean. Right. I had to report to him if I had any problems, and I had to also report to him if teachers were saying I was skipping school, because I got to that point I was starting to hang out with the boys, and you want to do all the stuff you ain't supposed to be doing, and I was doing all of that too. I mean, my parents know I was into dirt. You know what I'm saying? My sisters know I was into dirt. They were hearing all the drug stories. They were hearing all that. I was going to Acres Homes. I was going to Northside. I was going around, even getting things to keep me popping so that we could serve the athletes on campus that needed it to get high. It's like I was really that much into the wrong thing, but still with a good heart to want to balance my life out and to not ever let my parents down or hurt their feelings of thinking they did something wrong with how they raised me, because they did raise me right. No question.
So what took you to New York? What was that the first thing that said, man, I'm gonna go to New York and just try my hand at this?
My father's born and raised in South Carolina in Sumter. My mother's from Baltimore. Yeah. The Baltimore is how the East Coast thing started to kick in, because her father lived in Brooklyn. Every summer we do we're going to New York for the summer, so you do the going to New York for the summer as a young, boy, that's like exciting to see the city like that and all the crazy stuff. So around that time, maybe like, when I'm like 13, now I'm starting to see the hip hop part, and I'm just like, man, they ain't not doing this. It was something that when I came home from summer to get ready for school, I'm telling all my homies, like, yo, you will not believe what I see up in New York. They're taking 2 records, and I used to always say they're taking the part that we like, the which is that breakdown. Yeah. And they wasn't just a breakdown for DJs. Everybody that loved those records loved that breakdown in the song. Right. So when I was telling them they were extending it on beat on a turntable, and these guys got their turntable set up right there in the street in Times Square. So my grandfather loved the fact that I was so fascinated, and he and I were baseball fans at the time. So me and him used to go to the Yankee games all the time, because my sisters were at the point now where it's like, we're tired of going to New York and doing the same thing, even though we go shopping and stuff. We want to stay home with our friends in the summer. And I have a lot of friends that I still hang with from this very day that I grew up with. We still are connected. So for me, I was like, man, I want to do that. Right. And then this is before Run DMC it was even heard of. LL wasn't heard of yet. Yeah. So by 84, when I graduated high school, and LL's out and Run DMC, and I'm seeing the videos and all this stuff. I'm like, yo, and UTFO and all that stuff. And then at the same time, the rap here hadn't really developed yet until like the first record I really was familiar with in Texas was Captain Jack. He had that "Don't Do It Like That Baby" record. You know what I'm saying?
Captain Jack.
Yeah, and then on top of that, by '85, before I officially moved, I started record shopping and heard about Soundwaves on South Main. Now, at that time, I used to be going to the Rhinestone Wrangler because the DJ that taught me how to scratch in my dorm in Prairie View, his name is RP Cola.
Yeah.
RP was like, yo, I'll teach you how to scratch, because I always had the records.
Yeah.
So I was like, look, I'll rock with you at the parties and bring all my records. I always had the latest records, and all this comes from my mom. Because whenever we went shopping when I was a kid, she'd be like, yo, you could buy 3 albums, whatever you want. And I was, whatever she was into, I was into. So if it was Aretha, Barry White, Curtis Mayfield, Al Green, Natalie Cole, just anything, and jazz, the Crusaders, Stanley Turrentine, all that stuff. My mom was up on everything. And to this and we were concert buddies. Like, me and my mom went to every concert. I mean, my childhood, we all did the Jackson 5. That was we did the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. Go to Jackson 5. That was a regular back then for them to come to town.
At that show, man, I was little though.
You know what I'm saying? Man. So from there, I went to Ike and Tina Turner. I went to Rufus and Shaka Khan, and then Prairie View used to have shows at the Baby Dome. Yeah. So that's where I saw Rufus and Shaka Khan. That's where I saw Confunction. That's where I saw. May, of course, Maze. I mean, that's a standard in Houston, but like all of that stuff, it ended up being traveling with me. And then on top of that, when hip hop started in the early days, all we had as a reference was New York, because even from LA, it's like even if you didn't want to dress like them,
that's the birthplace.
You had to study that.
Yeah, no doubt.
So my grandfather was also in a band, and he used to show me all these photo albums of him on tour. And now I'm looking at this girl I met, and I met her in Paris, and I met her in Switzerland, and I was like, man, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to have girls, in different cities. No, like, that was just my whole thing, to be like my grandfather. He thought rap was a fad and it wasn't going to work and everything, and then he passed. So when he passed away, I said, man, let me find a way to just spend at least 1 year in New York, and if I don't make it, I'm going to go back to Texas. But to start, I need to keep some money flowing before I pack up to move. So that's when I went to Soundwaves, and I was buying some records in Hackseed. Shout to Carlos Garza. That's my heart right there. He's a big part of me getting a deal in New York. He was working at Soundwaves. He saw me changing he didn't catch me yet, but I was changing the prices on the 12 inches because they were like $3.99, and they were easy to peel off. Yeah. I was putting $1.99 stickers on there. Yeah. So with the $1.99 stickers, he saw it. Me and my homie Top Ski, shout to Top Ski, that was my original MC. We were in a group called MCs in Control. It was me, Top Ski, my man Sugar Pop from South Oak Cliff, and my man Styly T. Shout to everybody in Sock and in Dallas, and we were a crew. So when we went up to pay for the records, Carlos looks and said, hey, man, those ain't $1.99. And I was like, well, whatever, I'm acting all cocky. Yeah, whatever's on the record, on the price, that's what I'm paying. I was doing all that. Acting like, I'm in the right. I was in the wrong. He said, all right. And he rang him up for $1.99. Yeah. He said, if you ever come in here again, they ain't going to be that price. I was like, yeah, all right, whatever, acting all tough. Boom. I come back another day. And he goes, the guy with the price, and that dude, we kind of just started having words with each other, but it got friendly. Yeah. Next thing you know, he was like, damn, man, where you from? I said, man, I'm about to move to New York, but I'm from PV. He was like, yo, but you should work here, since you know so many records. Yeah. They interviewed me, got me a job. Wow. Next thing you know, I was employed there, and that's right when Billboard magazine started to have hip hop charts in Billboard magazine for just hip hop category on its own, aside from the album charts. Yeah. Carlos became the first Billboard reporter for Houston, when he used to have to report to all the independent. It wasn't no majors really yet. We were messing with hip hop. Stu Fine happened to call him about looking for a new DJ and a producer, and he said, man, I got this DJ, man, you got to see him. He's from Texas. He's ill. And he's like, man, well, Guru's looking for, a new DJ producer. He have a demo, and I know how to make a demo yet and all that stuff. once I learned how to put that together, which I did in New York with Top, because he came with me just for a little while to see if we could, we got jobs and everything just so we could stay up there and just hustle. Next thing you know, Stu likes the demo, but he doesn't like Top. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to leave my crew because I just can't do it. So I turned the Gangstar gig down.
Yeah.
He said, I'll tell you what, I'll put y'all in a real studio, and if your demos sound better, I'll sign y'all as a group. But I still want you to work with Gangstar because I like your sound of your beats and your scratching.
Yeah.
So Top kept getting frustrated when it got to a point, and a shout to him too, because he's from Boston as well, like Guru, but his mother lived in Mo City, so we used to always go to Mo City to stay at his mom's house and hang out, and that's how he ended up going to PV anyway. These are all Prairie View transplants from college.
Right.
So from there, next thing you know, Top got frustrated. It's probably maybe like another 2 or 3 months later. He was like, yo, man, this ain't working. I'm bouncing. I'm going into the military. I was like, you gonna leave?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but you're my MC. What I'm gonna do without you? He said, yo, man, this shit ain't working. So I thought he was just bluffing.
Right.
Man, I remember it was a Saturday morning. Next thing you know, the bell rings, and shout to Gordon and Gary Franklin and Marilyn Franklin and Arden Franklin, rest in peace. We stayed at their house because they also went to Prairie View too, and that's how I ended up. When my grandfather passed, he said, you can stay at my parents' house, but you got to get a job because my dad they're from Trinidad, so them West Indians, they're like, you have to have a job, or you go, so they were like, you can come in the house after 5, but during 8 to 5, you cannot stay in this house. So that's how I ended up getting a job and did anything I could do to bring in bread. So that Saturday morning, I remember the bell rang, man. We were drunk from the night before of hanging out, just getting into no good. And the recruiting officer was there at the door going, yeah, I'm looking for Theodore Campbell. And I'm like, well, for what? And he said, he enlisted into the Navy. And I thought he was making it up.
Right.
He said, okay, today is the day he's leaving.
Real deal.
And we all used to live in the basement together. And I was like, yo, Top. As soon as he's coming up the stairs, I'm thinking he's going to be like, yeah, what's up? He's coming up the stairs with his bags already packed. So he already knew.
Yeah.
That today. So he knew he was leaving that Saturday. I didn't know because I thought he was just talking. And he's like, yo, I'm out. And I was like, damn, now I'm by myself. When I'm on, I'm not. I said, how long you enlist for? He said, for 4 years.
Yeah.
If he had waited just a year, if he had said just a year, I would have waited.
Right.
That's how loyal I was to the situation. Right. When he said 4, I'm like, dude, I'm not waiting 4 years. So I called Stu Fine back at Wild Pitch and said, hey, my MC just took off for the Navy for 4 years. I'm by myself now. He said, yo, I told you we want you in Gangstar.
Yeah.
And hooked up with Guru and started kicking it, playing him some beats, and he was like, yo, I played him the Words I Manifest beat.
Man.
He
classic.
Yeah, we did.
We are here, man, with the legendary, the one and only DJ Premier, man, here on K-Rino Radio, transitioning into that, to the Gangstar era.
Mm-hmm.
And when you was talking earlier, you said something about, like, MC's voices and stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually was going to go into that because when you talk about Guru, you talk about an MC who had one of the most unique voices in hip-hop history.
Yeah.
One of those guys who all you had to do was hear him one time, and it was ingrained in your mind. That voice was there forever.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all developed such a great chemistry because y'all came along at a time where the DJ was just as much as a vital and intricate part as the rapper. It was always Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince.
Mm-hmm.
It was always
Eric B. and Rakim,
Super Lover C and Casino. So even though y'all were under a group name, we still knew it was Guru and Premier.
Right.
So, because the DJ's present, the value of the DJ was more magnified.
Yeah, Run DMC and Jam Master Jay.
Yeah, and the DJ, the rapper always gave the DJ those props. And when you say these are the words that are manifest, your production has always had like a heavy jazz feel to it. You are one of the producers handful of producers that when people listen, that sounds like a Premier beat right there. You know, your sound is distinct. Why do you think that production is more cookie cutter now? And it's not just the guys taking their pride to develop their own sound like a Dr. Dre or like a DJ Premier.
Well, a lot of the younger generation is not educated on the sounds that made hip-hop even become a $1 billion business, you know, and if they're not educated on it, they're hard-headed like we were. Like, man, I don't care about all that stuff. Just almost like the way our parents were saying, man, all that rap is noise, and just shunned it off. And all of a sudden, I'm buying my father, God bless my dad, he just passed June 8th, this Rolex I bought him for Christmas 10 years ago. And then as soon as he passed, in our home, which I'm glad he was in the house, I took it off his hand, and it was hard to get it because that rigor mortis set in.
Right.
But I was like, I'm not going to bury him with it because we kept his wedding ring on, but we hear them weird stories about people taking their jewelry out.
Yeah, them grave robbers.
Yeah, so I was like, nah, you know what? It's special because I'm not taking it. I'm actually carrying him because he loved his watch. You know what I'm saying? He ain't into the bling and all that, but I just got him a basic Rolex, and this thing is real valuable to me. My 7-year-old son the other day, we playing Madden. And he actually could play already. He got mad because I'm beating him, and he slammed the watch with his hand and hurt his hand. I was like, see, that's your granddaddy telling you.
Roll it like that.
That's your granddaddy. Granddaddy is telling you to behave yourself, know. But the jazz sound actually was because at the time James Brown was dominating the sample game, including me. I'm using James Brown in the Manifest record and all of that, but I was like, man, there's a lot of jazz albums that my mom has, and then the fact that my grandfather was in the jazz band, had a lot of albums, and his wife was like, take all the albums. I was like, they don't have a lot of vocals. I wonder if I could flip this but put hard drums to it. So I was just experimenting, but it became a hit. My first go around in 1988. So, because I was still going to Prairie View at the time, but I was going back and forth. But I already had a place to stay in New York, but at the same time I said, man, juggling back and forth to school is really, it's much rougher to finish my classes because now we got a video to shoot and we got to finish an album. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the permanent move. So that's when I made the permanent move. And then all of a sudden it seemed like everybody started using the jazz samples, and that became a style, from Tribe Called Quest to, shout to Showbiz and AG, who Lost Professor, Pete Rock. It's like we were all using that type of style.
All influence. You're absolutely right. I mean, your sound, just like a rapper's voice is distinct. Your production style is like your voice. That's your voice.
No question.
And when you hear these beats, and Murder, this my brother. He bad with it. We grew up. We came up listening to all that when the groups were so diverse. When these guys come out, they got their sound. These guys come out, Gangstar came out, and they had their own sound. What was production? Did production for you come along later? I know DJing might have came along first. When did you first decide I'm just gonna start doing beats?
That's really what my dream was. Was to my dream is to produce. That's what I've always wanted to do. DJing is number one because I think, we're the tastemakers. We set the tone of everything, which is why, I will never be a robot DJ. Robot DJs have to play with they're being told to play. I refuse to do that. I'm glad I have a show on Sirius XM on Eminem's channel, Shade 45. He lets me do my thing. I've been doing it on Hip Hop Nation, which is also on Sirius XM for over 13 years, but then they stopped doing mainstream. No, they only do mainstream rap. So they were like, we don't really want to, fire you and cancel your show. So Eminem, their channel said, no, we'll take your show. Keep doing it the way you do it and keep it raw and uncut. And because I refuse to do it any other way, because I was raised on listening to RP when he was on Magic 102 back in the day. Because not only that, he was doing the Rhinestone Wrangler. He was teaching me in his dorm room, going to PV, and he's from Corpus Christi. But and then from there, I just took it to another level where I was like, I'm going to really master these scratches and everything and just become a beast on it. But the production was my dream. I even told Guru that. I said, I'll be in the group, but I do want to produce other artists. So I don't want you to think I'm now blowing up where I'm like, forget Gangstar.
Let him know off the bat.
And he said, no, I'm fine with that. And even when I've produced other artists, when we do a Gangstar album, we stay solid with that too.
No doubt.
We've always had steady hits. We've always had steady albums. The consistency's always been the same. I wanted to be consistent like EPMD albums, Public Enemy albums, who else? Even Eric B. and Rakim. Their first four were just one after the other, just classics. So,
well, as a true producer, if we in a group together, you may make beats that still may not be something that be conducive to our group,
right?
But somebody else, man, that's that's what a producer does.
Yeah.
So for Guru to kind of get that gave you that freedom, like, and now you have so many names under your belt in diverse sounds, diverse artists
right.
that you have worked with, and that, like I say, that's a testament of just being a true producer. We always talk about the difference between a producer and a dude who make beats.
I say it all the time. Yeah, you're right. It's a difference. The Kanye Nas album, I love that. Yeah. I love the fact that they got together. My only gripe was I didn't feel like it was produced. Gotcha. I felt like he was rapping on Ye beats, gotcha. and that's the difference. If it was produced, I think it would be a lot more structured. I know Nas just did an interview where everybody's talking about it. He said, hey, I was only there for 7 days or to do 7 songs, right. and I get it, and that's all good. But the value of production still has to be prevalent in the outcome of the product. Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, I can cook a rock. I know how to do that. Yeah. But I can cook one that'll make you keep coming back to me all the time, or one that's just going to keep you high for a hot second. What I'm saying?
What do you say that the value of artists interaction is in terms of with production also? Because it's and now great producers can pull this off. You can make a beat for somebody while you in New York and they in Mississippi somewhere, but the actual interaction, to sit in that same room and build like right. that, is there a difference, a distinction with that, or a preference for you with
I
that?
Could do either one if the artist knows what they're doing, because I'm going to definitely give honest feedback. Like, I'm going to be like, yo, man, I don't like the way you right. ain't giving the right energy. But nothing beats being in the same room. Yeah. Like, I'm putting this on record. Like, you and I've spoken to you about this, and even though, and I thank you for doing vocals for the NYGs, who's part of our Gangstar family. Shout to Panchi and Shabino. No he's the original Shiggy. He's Shiggy Sha, but I know the Shiggy thing is really popping with the Drake record and all that. But but you and I have talked about this. Now, I remember when we finally met on the phone before I met you in person. I told you we need to do an album together. Right. Like I already know what it would sound like before doing it because I know it'll match, and I know track wise what to develop for you. So I would love to do an album with you,
man. Look, y'all heard him. No, just
hey, you heard me. You ain't got to delete that.
That would be an absolute.
It'd be an honor. It'd be an honor for real.
Like we are from that era, and I feel so blessed. I wouldn't trade growing up in the time I grew up for nothing.
Never.
And it's not to knock it's not to knock anybody at all. I just feel like we had the benefit of seeing this thing from its inception all the way up, and that gives you a benefit. That's like when people like to have the Jordan LeBron argument, who's better, and I tell youngsters all the time, you entitled to your opinion, but I had the benefit of seeing both. Yeah, you was born in 1999, so you didn't see Mike like I saw him. So
I never wore retro Jordans. I mean, I have a couple pairs. Yeah, but every Jordan that came out, they were literally coming out.
When they came out,
and it was a brand new Jordan. So we got to see it from the ones, just the basic red, black, and whites. All the way before they did all the multicolors, we saw every version. I'm still a Jordan 3 guy, like out of all the flavors that came out, the 3s were my go-tos. But now it's just so many retros. And again, I don't knock them, but it's like, y'all got retros. We had the original where we didn't know what they were going to look like.
Drop. Yeah. We didn't get the re-release.
Exactly. Yeah. And I always love the fact that you have created a K-Rino lane that works for you. To drop 7 albums at the same time, who's done that? That's a history moment in hip hop history that should be known and documented, because no one's done that. No one.
It's a blessing.
I don't know what made you. Like, I want to interview you now.
I mean, I can answer that real quick. It's exactly what you said. I've been underground all my life, so to not have that, I guess you would say, that machine or that mainstream push to expose anything that we do, it was my way of saying, okay, I can take my destiny in my own hands and do something that I know nobody has ever done.
Right.
And even if somebody comes along and matches it or exceeds it, I still did it first.
Yeah.
So that's just something I just wanted to do.
Amazing. I remember somebody that wrote a comment when I started promoting it on my Instagram and my Twitter that you had released the 7. And one guy was like, well, that don't make sense because now I got to listen to all of them. And how am I going to know which one I'm going to like? Well, why don't you listen to all of them? Listen to all of them. You know, but it gets in the way of the others. No, it don't.
Nah.
If you small-minded, it's in your way.
Yeah, his brain is cluttered.
If you're a purist, it's dope.
If you got a plate full of food, you might have some chicken, some macaroni cheese, some green beans, some mashed potatoes. You don't just mash it all together and start eating.
Nah.
Take your time. And
exactly, but it's all on the same plate. But I'm starting with the mac and cheese and the string beans. The meat's coming last.
We don't get to it.
Yeah, if I'm a big Prince fan. If I knew Prince was dropping 7 albums, man, I'd be copping all of them.
If Prince would have told you while he was alive, because I don't want to say that while he's gone, because it's disrespectful how they're handling him now.
Yeah.
If Prince would have told you while he was alive, hey Primo, I'm gonna let you just go through the vault and let you just get with it.
Man,
you're not gonna be worrying about how am I gonna listen to all that. You just gonna be glad to be
1,000
having
songs,
an opportunity.
1,000 songs. I'm going through every one
without a doubt. They might not see you for 6 months.
Yeah,
but you gonna have a Santa Claus beard when you come out.
Oh yeah, no question.
Yeah, no doubt. Let me ask you this real quick.
Yep.
And this might be a hard thing to answer. Out of all the people that you work with, give me your top 3 favorite. I ain't gonna put you on the spot for one. Just the top 3.
Yeah, the
that
one
you really
I always
enjoy.
get. Yeah.
Now, if you can give one, they don't have to be in order. If you can, that's cool.
No, the one they always ask me what's my one favorite.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't answer.
That's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Guru's number 1 because he gave me the opportunity to become a bigger part of this culture by expanding and working with KRS and Nas and Jay and Big and and just on and on and on. Rakim. So just from so Guru will always be number 1. It was a big deal to work with Rakim because it was like, damn, I'm in the lab with him. We in the studio banging out jams and doing it's been a long time in New York. You're out there and watching him, just be in the booth and doing it. It's like, I'm literally with the God, because if he never drops another album, he's still making money off of touring, off of just paid in full and follow the leader.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's so ill. And then KRS One was a dope experience because it's another bucket list of mine to work with him. And when we did Return of the Boom Bap, it was just fun, man. Just me, him, Kid Capri, and Showbiz, and then he was making beats. KRS,
he always
does a lot of beats. He did Madism for Channel Live. He's done a lot of beats.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun experience outside of Gangstar to do that. Because like with Jay-Z and Nas and Big, they were younger than me, so I looked at them as more of the youngsters that I was working with, even though what they've done is so great and they've expanded the next chapter of hip hop culture. But they
all wasn't there.
I was dreaming.
My shorties.
It was my dream to work with Ra and KRS and Kane and all that stuff, so and that happened.
Look, the song, because KRS-One is my favorite all-time artist. Murder will tell you that, but that doom 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 boom boom.
MCs act like they don't know.
That's my jam right there, man.
Appreciate it.
MCs act like they don't know, and man, that was so dope, man. And I think they probably came out like in the mid-90s sometime, man. And right, kind of like when some of our favorite rappers was starting to kind of fade out, but Chris was never like that. Chris was just so competitive. Like he's still around now.
Yeah,
So by the mid-90s, when the game was kind of changing in a lot of ways, when y'all came out with that cut, man, I was like, the goosebumps was back. Because it was like, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So we got DJ Premier in here, man, and we getting well fed.
Yeah, we need a 2-hour segment.
Without a doubt, man. We talk about that every week. We talk about that every week. Now, let me ask you, because a lot of people, the younger generation may not know this. We know it. every year when they have the BT cipher, and that's like a big thing that people would tune in for. This is the DJ who's holding it down on the cipher.
Right.
So when y'all see all those dope MCs and they up there just spitting back to back, this is the man who's been commissioned to hold down that set.
Right.
2 questions. Number one, how did that come about? But number 2, I guess you can answer the second question first. Speak to the level of trust that rappers have to have in their DJ, because you up there rapping, and you, especially when you're doing a live show like how Run Them used to do it, and you know this guy, he's gonna come in with this cut, he's gonna break it down right here. It's a level of trust that have to be there to know that this guy gonna handle his business on point.
Yeah.
You know, so just speak to that and then talk about how you ended up doing the cipher.
Well, shout to Jesse Collins, who actually is a producer of the BET Hip Hop Awards and the BET Awards, and he even produced the New Edition story and and all that. And we're old friends to another mutual friend of mine who used to do business with me, and they're all out of Maryland.
Right.
And so when I met Jesse and he started producing, he actually started out by just writing the actual the stuff on the teleprompter, the jokes and all that, even everything. Right. He started out like that. And then they started giving them more authority to start calling the shots on what they do to set up the shows. Being that we know each other so well, he was like, "Yo, man, I want to do this thing called a cipher." And first of all, we didn't know it was gonna go this far. We only just did it for just one season. Right. One year, and it was only 2 of them. And we did the first one was with Remy Ma, Ron Fest. Who else was in it? Styles P was in it, Papoose, and Lupe Fiasco, and that was really it. Right. We did 2 ciphers. I actually had to go on tour and ask DJ Scratch from EPMD to fill in for me, so he filled in. But I gave him and now what happened was when he told me what he wanted to do with the idea, I said, well, let's keep it back to the old school breaks and just keep it break beats. Cool. All of them was with it. We said, let's do Impeach the President. In New York, that was always the freestyle beat. Yeah. Everything came off without a hitch. Man. Following year, he's like, yo, we're doing it again. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Now, he said, we're going to do 3 this year. Wow. I'm like, okay. But it was still reputable. Wyclef. He would always have and he always have a European artist just to show we're going across the globe. Yeah. And but it was Wyclef and a couple other people. I can't. I think Dizzy Rascal was in it, and Lil Mama. She was on the come up. She was brand new, and whoever else was on those, it was still reputable. Then the 3rd year started to get a little more diverse, where I'm like, well, I don't know about them. They ain't not really rappers on that level to rap over break beats. But yeah, if they can hold it down, cool. Come on with it. But but then you had Jadakiss, you had people like Joel Santana. They were now the hot ones that still fit that mold. Yeah. By the 4th time, it started to get where I'm like, yo, man, why y'all getting all these rappers that can't rap like that over beats? They started watering it down. And they started to ask me, yo, man, can you not scratch like that when I'm rapping? I'm like, what? Right. I'm like, nah, dog. I said, you got to rap. I mean, I was like, nah, you got to just rhyme and just keep going. If I, he said, yeah, but when you rubbing a record like that, I'm like, hey, y'all were told what was going on. And you have seen episodes, so do your homework, and you're supposed to come prepared. Because now they're coming and we're ready to shoot, and I'm looking, and they're not ready, and they're like, yo, play that beat again. And I'm like, damn, y'all got it a month ago, and it's only 16 bars. Yeah. Now everybody's going 30 bars, and yo, mine's more than 16. And I'm like, dude, like y'all were told, it's 16. Now everybody's going 24 to 48. And unless you're just an ill MC that way, let them go. If it's a Redman or a Busta or KRS or something like that, if they go 100 bars,
you're already in clout. Yeah,
and they're gonna deliver with like, yo. So it started to be a little tension. But I said I'm gonna always make sure. It got to the point where the artists like, man, we don't need to be rapping over these types of beats, but I don't want to take the purity of how ciphers were built out of it. But so Jesse, he just hit me yesterday and say, yo, what beat we using this year? I'm like, you still want me to do it again this year? He said, Preem, Yes, we need you to do it again this year.
Nobody can do it. I mean, it's like, look,
I was like,
real DJs have the ability to control and hold it down like
no
that.
question.
I mean, that's just a fact, man. I mean,
yeah. I saw Jay-Z doing an interview with David Letterman. He was explaining to him that us rappers were not the forefront. It was all about the DJ. The MC was just there to tell the crowd, yo, check out my DJ. He's nice. And then kick a rhyme to keep the party rocking. But it was still about the DJ. And then later on, the DJ got pushed back where he wasn't relevant. It was just the MCs, where the MCs started being on stage with no DJ, just saying, yo, press that play button, and that's all you got.
It's so mechanical and electronic and digital
button pushers.
Game. That purity, that authenticity is not as prevalent as it once was.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Because your list of people that you have worked with, man, is practically a who's who, man. Who haven't you worked with that you want to work with? Just
even though you've already done a verse for our group,
technically we have,
but I repeat, we got to do an album.
No doubt,
we got to. It's a must. It will be sick.
Oh man,
it will be sick.
Hey man, look,
it will be sick.
I'd be just glad to be a part of it.
Man, it will be sick. That's happening. Yes, that you're part of my bucket list. But DMX.
You never worked with DMX?
Nah.
Wow. Okay.
Nah. Ghostface Killer. I'd love to do something with Ghost.
Yeah.
I've done stuff with Meth, with Big, and Reggie. Even though we've never done stuff just for their own albums, but still we've been in the lab when we did the Biggie record for Rap Phenomenon when he passed.
Right.
Who else?
What about R&B? What about singers or any other outside the genre?
Mary J. Blige, man.
You ever work with Mary J?
No, I want to work with Mary J. Blige. I want to do her album.
Yeah.
Like, you see, I'm beating my fist on. Like, I want Mary J. Blige. I want to do an Erykah Badu album.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And albums, because we come from the album era.
Right.
Albums, albums was a big deal, and coming up with, now it's about singles and your hot single, and then it's gone, and it's streamed, and then it's over.
Some digital hype, and then on to the next.
But albums will still live the test of time. The Chronic will never die out. Doggy Style will never die out. Paid in Full will never die out. Raising Hell, License to Ill with the Beastie Boys. These are albums that are a must-have. If it's Long Live the Cane. Just certain albums, you know what I mean, that must be in your library in order to even make sure your skills is on point.
Yeah, man. And as a historian, as an artist coming up, if you want to really have that full grasp of what it takes. You got to go back in that time machine. Yeah,
Too Short's first album. What was that, Born to Mac?
Come on.
Yeah, Too Short, Houdini, Back in Black, Ghetto Boys, Grip It on That Other Level. It's like, of course we can't be stopped, but Grip It on That Other Level was just like, what the hell?
I had Willie D in here, and I told him the same thing. We Can't Be Stopped was the album that blasted him out of the mainstream with Mind Playing Tricks. But my favorite album always was Grip It.
Oh, my goodness.
Always was Grip It. It was just raw. Uncut.
It was so dirty. It was so dirty. And plus, I remember when Jukebox and all them were in the group.
Right.
Because when Car Freak came out, that was my Rhinestone Wrangler era.
Right.
And so I was every week I was in that club. And again, mainly because RP was rolling with me. I was actually rolling with him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was the man. And again, he was rocking on 102. He was rocking at the Rhinestone Wrangler. And he would rock with me when I DJ parties at PV. So we would just, I still got to hook up with him because I haven't seen him in so many years.
Yeah.
And he's just, I am indebted to him what he taught me how to work them turntables.
And he's speaking of the legend R.P. Cole. On that note, I want to bring Murder in for a second because Murder was just telling me a story about you right before you pulled up, and I want him to go into it because he told me this before, but I had forgot. So
let it be known.
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm a follower of R.P. Cole also. He gave me my opportunity to DJ in clubs also. So I don't know if you remember this, that back in the day R.P. had that 4-track.
Yep.
And I want to say it was you and Guru, and you were doing your demo.
Right.
And I think he bounced it to an 8-track, and I think on the last track you had to do 2 cuts, and you didn't have no time to do it.
Right.
And you did both of them cuts on 2 tables at the same time.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't know where that tape is because 4-track you're limited unless you you double flip it.
Yeah.
And
I was like I say, I follow RP. You know, he helped me in the club situation. Him and Steve Fournier.
yeah, shout out to Steve Fournier, a major part of Houston's circulation with radio clubs and even just getting records around outside of Houston. Yeah, and I never knew he was white either at the time because he's so in the know of the entire game. You know what I'm saying?
And back in the days, we talk about this with Keystone Olives. We talk about this back how part of the excitement of buying a new album was reading
the credits. Yeah.
And Steve Fournier's name was on
everybody. From Public Enemy. Yes.
It's like, who is this dude?
Yes.
And then you find out he had this big record pool, and he was just that dude.
Yeah,
man.
So
definitely shout out to Steve Fournier.
Yeah, shout to him. And again, shout to Captain Jack, man. I mean,
Captain
Jack. He was a party dude. I don't know where he is anymore. I don't know if he's still around. But
and shout out to the OG Wicked Cricket, man.
Wicked Cricket, rest in peace.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, rest in peace to Wicked Cricket,
that's
man.
One of the guys who raised us all in the game.
Absolutely, so, rest in peace to that brother. And then again, they got to give the Godfather also, Jay Prince, man. I mean, I've seen him. We used to see him because I didn't even know he had ownership with the Rhinestone Wrangler, but he what he's done, and I bought his book and the audio book and everything, and just his journey has been bananas. And for him to do what he did just for the city of Houston, you bow and salute that brother.
He's our pioneer in terms of just from the business standpoint, and giving us a hope and a dream that you could actually build a business model.
Yeah.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Jay was the one who saw the vision before anybody did from that standpoint.
Yeah, so, he's a brand. He showed how branding can be done.
At a time when Houston was rejected, the South was rejected.
100%. I witnessed it. I was there when the Ghetto Boys got booed in New York, and I was like, damn, but they're dope.
Yeah.
And the next thing, they got booed, and I remember Willie D was just standing there, just looking at everybody like, I dare somebody
knock somebody.
I dare somebody to just say something in front of me, and he didn't care.
Right.
And because actually, Top, my MC from Old City in Boston, used to beatbox for Willie D at the when they used to have the contest at the Rhinestone Wrangler.
Right.
And so he had a record called "I Hate That Itch," because I think he even put that out on the Controversy album, if I think, not the beatbox version, but that song. But I know the crazy thing was after they came out with "We Can't Be Stopped," I remember Ice Cube was really popping with America Most Wanted, and he did the Apollo. When you do the Apollo, you better kill.
Right.
And Ice Cube was the headliner. Cool G Rap and Polo opened up, and the Ghetto Boys opened up before Cool G Rap and DJ Polo.
Right.
And the Ghetto Boys came out. Rest in peace to my man Mello, Big Mello.
Yeah.
That's my homie right there.
Sir.
You know what I'm saying? Big Mello was there. And I remember you have an early show for the kids, and then you have the 11 o'clock show. The 11 o'clock show is when the thugs, the hustlers, the players, everybody with the money and the shoot 'em up guys are in that building.
Right.
And you better be a real one in that crowd.
Right.
And I remember, man, when they did the first show, they gave the Ghetto Boys the utmost love.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we in the backstage with them chilling, and Scarface and Willie get into some argument with each other. Willie D said, "I ain't going on."
Yeah.
Like, that's how he said it. It was almost like he I wish I could have sampled that back then. He said, "I ain't going on." And I was like, he ain't. Come on, this is 11 o'clock show. I know you going out there. And he's like, nah. And he stayed in the back room and said, "I ain't going on."
Right.
Big Mello took his hat, Willie D's hat, and the low glasses,
and filled
put them
in.
on, and it looked just like, because he had that kind of a build.
Yeah, no doubt.
And they ripped it down, and they never even knew that I wasn't Willie D.
Great history, man.
I was
Great
there.
history,
I was backstage
man.
with them.
The icon DJ Premier is in the building. We got about 3 minutes, big brother. Man, we need a part 2, 3, 4, 5 with you, big brother.
Oh yeah, anytime, man. We can continue that. We can do a big 7. This is part 1. You know what I'm saying? This is part 1.
Let me ask you real quick, before we close out. What is it about music today, in particular in rap music, that you would like to see differently that could possibly make it better? That's something you dissatisfied with that you would like to see better?
I would just like to see the younger generation and older generation get along more with the respect of where the music came from, because again, if they don't, this is just to the youngsters, because we were young too and hard-headed.
Yeah,
but
doubt.
if they don't respect their elders or care about where it came from, their career is going to end.
Yeah.
It will end in the rap world. You may end up doing jewelry. You may end up making these cables for the microphones and making money off of that. But your hip hop career will be over.
Yeah.
We'll still be around, because as I said, at 52 years of age, I was 19 when I did my deal. I'm 52, still active. The phone rings. I'm actually scoring, doing all the music for Tracy Morgan's show. The Last
You working
OG.
hard, and you working more now.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and I'm still just banging them out. Like, I'm still excited to go in there and make just a mean one. You know what I'm saying? Like that, it's still a big deal.
How do you not lose that love? I know the industry plays a role in a lot of artists just losing that love. How do you maintain that pure love for the game?
I think for the fact that I wanted to be accepted by the artists that came before me, and all I wanted, I wasn't thinking about the money. We knew the money would kick in, but I just wanted them to say, yo, you're dope. Yeah. So when I saw, KRS, he's going, yo, me and Guru walking, and in New York, you see all the artists. Yeah. You know, it's like normal if you're in New York. Right. And this late 80s going in the 90s, we saw each other. We'd go to the same clubs, all of us in the same clubs. KRS in the same club, Q-Tips in the same club. Rakim was like a UFO. It's like, yo, I saw Rakim. No, you didn't. No, you did. You lying?
Sasquatch.
Yeah. He don't show up like that. Yeah. It's rare, but the rest of us, Queen Latifah, you name Special Ed, Jungle Brothers, Run D. Jam Master Jay would be there. Run and D were too big.
Right.
But we were all in the same spots. Yeah. Every spot that was hard to get in, we were all up in there. Right. Everybody's at the bar, chilling, and everybody, yo, I like that new video. It was like that. It wasn't like
everybody's eating and doing good.
It wasn't bottle popping and all that. Yeah, I mean, we were popping bottles, but it wasn't tables. You know, now it's bottle service. You gotta have a table, right? And you gotta buy a table. It was none of that. Everybody's in the same spot, showing love for each other, and so that made me feel like I made it. Yeah. So I don't want to see that part die. Yeah. So that's why I continue to bang out joints, because even though artists that are from that era, even if they're not making bangers, you got to blame. It's their fault. It's just like I saw Nori tell an interview where he was telling DJ Drama, if Lil Uzi Vert don't know certain stuff about the people that came before him, he said it ain't his fault. He said it's your fault. Yeah. And he's like, what do you mean? He said, yo, because he's under your wing. You know what I'm saying? My nephew's 23, and he's like, yo, he does more of the style that's out now, which I ain't mad at, but he said, what makes you great? I was like, I'm going to send you an email. Here's 10 James Brown songs you need to have. Right. I check them like 2 weeks later. Yo, did you ever download that music? Nah, I've been running around. Okay, so don't ask me for nothing else.
No doubt, you done.
And he's like, yeah, but I'm going to get to it. I'm like, yeah, but you keep wanting me to help you get into the business. Yeah. Until you are up on the level of where I come from and what made me great, you're not doing your homework. This shit, there's a schooling to this.
Yeah, it's a curriculum, man. It's a course,
yes.
Study that.
So until you study it, till you study all these Jackson 5 records I gave you, and I gave them like 10 to 20. Yeah. Till you study the Paid in Full album, Straight Out the Jungle from the Jungle Brothers, grip it on that other level. Too Short, Born to Mac, NWA, Straight Outta Compton, Easy Does It from Eazy-E. Like, these albums have to be in your library. You have to have a Nation of Millions, to Hold Us Back from Public Enemy, Yo Bum Rush the Show. You have Criminal Minded, yes. Man, by all means necessary. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? All those have to be even just a small portion of what makes you great. Right. Otherwise, don't ask me no questions to get put on.
Well, y'all have heard it straight from the man himself, DJ Premier.
Yes,
brother,
sir.
Thank you so much.
Part 1 of 7.
Part 1 of 7. We got 6 more of these coming.
That's right.
Thank you so much for coming, man.
Thank you for having me, K-Rino. It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to have you here, family.
Yes, sir.
Y'all tune in every week. K-Rino Radio. We signing out right now, man. Every Friday, man. Shout out to the whole family. Murder One, Keystone, Young Pro, No Regret Media, man. One love. Thank you, big brother.
Yes, sir.
Peace and blessings.
All right.